Hello and welcome to Contrary Sims. Today I want to show you a rather small build in my town. It is a historical country chapel, and today my Sims will be gathering here for rather a sad occasion. For a few nights earlier, one of the oldest members of the community, Kino Tesla, had sat down in his sitting room with a nightcap and a good book, as he does every evening, with no clue that this would in fact be the very last. So Kino had no family, and he did live alone for many years after his partner Adam passed away, but that does not mean that he was lonely. He was a very highly esteemed member of the community, and many friends and colleagues have turned out to see him off. So this is one of the oldest buildings in my town of Billabilla. Historically, I feel like one of the first buildings that would have been constructed in a small town would be the church, possibly also the pub. So this one has been built out of local stone and local timbers. I have also used throughout a combination of the French chateau windows and the older Victorian style windows and doors. I felt that they looked the most church-like, for lack of a better word. At the front of the build there is a bell tower, and in order for that to have a separate height to the rest of the build, it is actually separated by one square from the main part of the church. So that's how it has 4 stories when the rest has 2. There are also along the side what I think turned out to be some really nice gardens with an old stone well that back in the day probably did provide water, although running water has been installed since, and also some garden plots for growing food for the community. So the mourners have moved inside and taken their place for the service, so we can follow them inside now through this little entryway, vestibule, and through these double doors. So we enter here into the nave, which is the main section of the church where the congregation has gathered, and I have used these outdoor benches as pews. And also, through the power of imagination, this auctioneering podium becomes the priest's pulpit. Kino's life orb is also displayed here. He did have the geeky life dream, which is very appropriate considering his many contributions to the community in the fields of science and technology. Many of his friends gathered here will remember him as colleagues or students of his at the university. So on either side of the nave here I have built these narrow corridors or aisles along either side with arched doorways just for a little bit of architectural interest, and also just to ground the upper mezzanine level as well. So if we do follow this aisle along here to the back, we have this small room which has the stairs up to the mezzanine or gallery level, and also some doors out to the gardens. So this I did have built for quite some time with balconies and courtyards built inside. So I was really happy that they just released this mezzanine update, which allowed me to do it legitimately, and now I can change the weather without it raining or snowing inside, and it's also lit correctly. So this is a great change. So just behind here we have this tiny little nook of a room, a sort of a bay above the entrance. And I've just put some seating in here just as a small contemplative area, or perhaps members of the church could consult with the priest here in private. So if we just follow that aisle downstairs along to the front of the building, we reach the bell tower, which I have just placed the toilet in the lower floor just for lack of anywhere else to put it. And in the very top story, I have placed this gold ornament just in place of a bell. So after the funeral service, the mourners head outside for the lighting of the memorial torch. Sims, of course, do not leave behind any kind of body, making burial as such pointless. And so every time one of my Sims has to meet the Reaper, I do like to leave behind a lit torch, just as a reminder that they existed. Although they cannot be marked in any way, so I do end up struggling to remember which is which. So Kino's torch has been lit now, and it will burn eternally here alongside some other founding members of the community, and next to him here as well is his partner Adam. It did become clear to me pretty quickly that I would run out of space in my tiny little memorial garden, which is why I ended up heading underground and beginning some catacombs. So far, only 2 families have had any need of their own private tomb or memorial. So this large, fairly extravagant one belongs to the Iscariot family, and they have only had to light 1 torch so far. This is for Carlton, the patriarch of their family and the original mayor of the town. I have placed this screen here just because Sims like to race off and sit in any available chair, and I just wanted to keep them out of here when it's not, you know, their family's tomb. Across the hall is the Keats family's memorial. So this is Para Keats and his son Brumby Keats, who both unfortunately passed away, and we did meet the Keats in a previous house tour of the Queenslander-style house. Also hidden in behind walls, although we can see it because the walls drop down, there are the haunted stairs, which I chose just because they are stone, but perhaps all of these skulls tucked in here are remnants of more ancient burial or memorial practices. Well, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you liked this tour. I wanted to show you a little something you could do with the mezzanines that have just become available. And next time I will bring you a story and a tour that is a little less solemn, I promise. But thanks again, and bye for now.